Okay. So if anybody that wants to get on the Toolkit CMA, if you would contact Charlene if you're in Delaware, or Bonnie if you're in Maryland, and they can get you set up with your login. It is a really cool system. It can be personalized to you. You can add pages, like if on the listing presentation that's in Keller, in our command, if there's some pages you like the pie graphs and stuff like that. If you want to add the lure reports that are specific to Keller Williams and say, you know, if you're doing CMA now, it would have the April or the first quarter numbers. You could put that into it. And it does interact with our Bright MLS system. So it pulls things in. One of the other things that I like about the Realty Toolkit is there is a page that it will basically take all the data and give you a range, a suggested list price range. Now, when you look at that, even if it prices it higher or lower than where you really think it should be, you can also make adjustments to that. It's not like it's non-editable. So I think maybe one of our classes is literally, my Bob really does a great presentation with Toolkit CMA. I might get him to come in and literally teach you the basics of how to use really Toolkit CMA, bring in your MLS printouts and things like that. Okay? So maybe that'll be a Friday class that we'll do.
Hey, Carol, real quick, who did you state was the one for us in Maryland who we reach out to?
In Maryland, I would reach out to Tasha or Bonnie.
Okay, we'll do. Actually, hopefully I'm hitting the office. I'm hoping Tasha's going to be there today.
I think Bonnie's going to be there today too.
All right, cool. Well, I'm like 5 minutes out right now. So yeah, you may see me drop off and get right back on.
All right. All right.
Hey, Carol.
Yes.
Have you ever used the CMA presentation through RPR?
I have not.
Okay.
I heard it's pretty good. I haven't used it. I don't know if it interacts with the MLS.
It does. Interacts
Okay.
with Bright. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could check it out and send it to me. I haven't seen one.
Okay, I haven't. One of the agents in Bold mentioned that he uses that because then it was easier to show other properties if people wanted to see.
I don't know what you mean, because it'll show other properties in the Realty Toolkit too. It'll show the comp properties. Is that what you're talking?
Or just other properties, not even the ones in your comp, but just I guess it's more like a Zillow kind of thing. It's easier to search than with someone sitting there than the MLS.
I don't know. I don't know anything about RPR.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. There are so many different systems, and that's the other thing. You can get a system overload, just like we can get a Zoom overload, just like we can get command classes overload. There's so much information, and you probably have already started seeing your email boxes filled with a lot of people soliciting. We can post to your Facebook page. We can do this, we can do that. So you just got to remember, once you become a realtor, you are open to all these people that are trying to sell you services. Some of them work, some of them don't. Some of them work better for some people and not so good for other people. Again, systems or tools are only as good as how you work them. But some of them are expenses that you don't necessarily need if you stay within the Keller Williams options that we have. Realty Toolkit is one thing that to me is worth the $10, $12 a month, only because of the ease of use of it. But again, I haven't used RPR. This guy uses RPR that you're talking about. He probably may have looked at Realty Toolkit and said it's not worth the aggravation to me. I like what I do here. Usually what you start with is what you usually get very comfortable with, and that's where you stay.
Yeah.
Okay. So today's class is about buyer consultation. So getting back to our typical thing, we're going right here. What we do, are we growing our business? Are we running our business, right? I'm trying to see why I don't see you guys. I want you up. Get you over in the middle. And I don't think I got the share screen. You're not seeing the presentation yet, are you?
No.
Not yet, no.
You are now?
I see. Yep, there you go.
Okay. So we're going to talk about growing a business so that we can run our business. And today and the next one is going to be about buyers. So our conversation that we had last week on our weekly coaching call was about buyers and what you have a buyer now, how do we handle it? How many people are getting OpCity leads that they are actively working? Show of hands. Okay. Nancy, have you signed up for it? Have you gotten any? You're muted, Nancy.
I'm sorry. I am signed up, but I haven't gotten any yet.
Okay. Did you fill out the information and all that for it?
Yes.
Okay. And what area did you put in?
Delaware beaches.
Okay. Were you specific about areas or did you just put Delaware beaches?
I can't remember. I honestly have filled out so many things in the last
I
2
hear
weeks.
you. I hear you. Delaware beaches may not be an option because they can't search under Delaware beaches. You may need to put Fenwick Island, Bethany, Rehoboth.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll check that.
Yeah, I would go back and check because everybody that I know that once I signed them up and you completed your profile have been getting leads.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I don't know why you haven't. Terry, how about you?
Well, I got a call, but I couldn't answer it because I didn't have access to the lockbox. It didn't come through on Friday. So we've gotten all that taken care of. I have access now, so I'm going to flip it back on. So, but yeah, within a day, I got a call.
Okay. I'm not understanding what you're talking about a lockbox.
Oh, I didn't have CentriLock, the access to get into CentriLock hadn't been set up yet. And we were in the process of setting up and it just hadn't. So anyways,
Oh, okay.
I went up there yesterday to the office.
So you went to the board and
she
got it
me
set up. Okay. All righty.
Yeah.
So now what area are you covering, Terry?
I'm doing Dorchester, Talbot, and Caroline counties.
Okay.
I do cover down to Salisbury because that was the radius. It said Topeka.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
All right, cool. All right. And I do see the leads that come through and the leads get sent out and all. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands. First of all, I hear some agents that are getting overwhelmed with leads that are really not strong amounts. So I want you guys to understand that if you're getting too many leads, you need to block your time so that you control them. And a lot of people feel, well, oh, if I don't answer every one, then I'm not going to get anywhere. The problem is if you answer every one and they're $30,000 leads and you're running for 4 $30,000 leads, you don't have time to do your lead gen. So I always want your lead gen to take priority over the OpCity leads. I want OpCity leads. Here's my view for OpCity for you guys. My view for OpCity for you guys is that it will give you opportunity for some kind of transaction, even how minimal it will be. But in that interim, it will also teach you how to use the systems, such as, doing your searches, using your lockbox, getting familiar with the areas, drawing a contract in DocuSign, and all those things. But I don't want it to become a problem to the point where you get really frustrated and you feel like you're running 24/7. So again, you need to control your business. If you don't control your business will control you. So the same thing with OpCity. Julie is a perfect example. She was getting so many, she was running. I think you have 3 under contract, Julie?
I have 2 that should be closing in June, mid-June.
Okay, so you have 2 under contract, but you were running somewhere around 6 or 8 of them at a time, weren't you?
Yeah.
And so Julie made that conscious decision that I will do them, but I will do them on my terms. And I want to also generate business with my sphere and work my lead generation. The other thing I want you guys to start thinking about, since we're talking about buyers, is in Maryland, you can now sit open houses. And that was as of a couple of weeks ago. I strongly suggest that each one of you should be sitting an open house, whether it's a Saturday or a Sunday, at least every week for the first 6 weeks, just to pump up your lead generation, okay? Just to pump up your contacts. I would also think, I know we did the one Ignite class on open houses. Do you feel that you would like a more intense open house class, since we're going to open up and do more open houses? Or do you feel that you guys got enough with that when you look back on your paperwork?
Well, I'll speak up.
Good.
Hi, Terry. Take it, Terry.
If we're gonna do one, from my perspective, I would like, instead of just a conversation of hearing someone talk about what they do, is someone saying, okay, this is the first thing I do. For the first week ahead, I do A, B, C, D, E. Then this time, then this time. So just almost like a list out exactly what should be done. And then, reasons why, but a list type.
Okay, so we can do that. I have one of those. Basically, what you do on Monday, what you do on Tuesday, what you do on Wednesday, what you do on Thursday, and what you do on Friday. So open houses you prep for 1 week. Because if you don't, you're going to have a very poor turnout and not wasted, 2 or 3 hours, but not highest and best use of your time. So I will work on trying to get that open house, and we can see how we want to do it. And then at the very least, if we don't get a chance to meet up, whether it's virtually or in the offices, then I'll at least get the checklist out to you so that you can start preparing for your open houses. Maryland is open, and Delaware, starting June 1st, you can do open houses. Okay, so I would strongly suggest, today is the 27th. You need to start looking for what open houses you want to do and getting them set up. Because if you find something that you're going to do by this week, starting next week is when you have to do everything so that you can do your open house on June 5th or June 6th or 7th, which would be the first weekend of June. So if you're going to be doing an open house, then we need to really get moving on selecting a good choice for an open house, and also preparing to have a good open house. All right, which is going to put us right back to what our conversation is today about buyers and how we're going to talk to them. Okay. So setting the appointment with a buyer, what we've done is you prospect it and you market it. You captured a lead. Some of them are leads, some of them are contacts. Anybody want to tell me what the difference is between the two? Michael?
One would be ready, willing, and able. Contact is just, and potential business. Contact is just that. It's a contact. There's, it's not necessarily ready for business. If that makes any sense? Unless I'm failing.
What's the difference between a lead and a contact?
Isn't a contact, someone that you have like all their information that you can, it's a two-way communication, whereas a lead,
Yes, you're right on, Julie. A lead is you get something from OpCity, and these people are looking to buy a $150,000 house within the next 3 to 6 months. You have a name and you have a phone number. That's a lead. You call them. They are willing to talk to a lender. and they are willing to set up an appointment for the following week. They are now contacts. And you took them down into where you're connected with them. So now you are connected and taking them into the cultivating stage, where you are interacting with them, you're sending them lists, you're talking about where you're going to meet, you have them set up with a lender to make sure that they're pre-approved, and now you have them qualified. Once they get cultivated and they're nurtured to a point where they'll talk to a lender and all, and now they're qualified, that's when you go into the appointment. Okay? So here's my thing about open houses. If you look at this, you have a lead, but if they fill out all their information and they're talking to you and they're saying that they have a house to sell, because that should be one question that you're asking when you're at the open house. Do you have a home? Are you currently renting, or are you, do you own a home? Oh, you own a home. Is that home on the market right now? No, we're just in the beginning stages. Well, now you know where they are so that you know how to help them better. If they say, no, we have a house, but it's not on the market, or it is on the market. One of the questions I ask, like, are you in the area? Because why are they out looking at open houses if they have a house listed with somebody? Are they going to work with that agent, or are they looking for another agent? Some sellers actually go to open houses looking for another listing agent because they're not happy with their agent too. So you got to remember and be on your best attitude when you're sitting in an open house, and you got to be sharp. Can't be, on your computer, and when they walk in, almost feel like they're interrupting you. Because I've had agents do that. Sometimes it's like, okay, just take a look around and let me know if you have any questions. I don't want you to follow them in an open house. But you definitely don't want to say, okay, well, take a look around, let me know if you have any questions, and then they walk down the steps and walk out the front door and never came back to you, because you didn't even have a chance to really talk and interact in the first place. All right? Any questions? So we're not going to do this right now. We're going to prepare this buyers. Has anybody gone into Command to see the actual buyer presentation? Has anybody seen it? Julie, I can't hear you.
I don't think I've gone into my design, but I did my stuff through Toolkit.
Okay. So a buyer presentation through Toolkit?
Oh no, I did the CMA. I haven't done a buyer's presentation yet. I mean, I think I dabbled, but I didn't actually do it yet. No.
Okay. They are now coming out with people doing buyer presentations. Sort of just, remember we talked about everyone's value proposition? So this is where you need to know your value proposition and what you're going to do and how you're going to work with buyers and what you're going to provide to them. It's just the same as you do when you work with sellers. So with that in mind, what they did is they created a buyer presentation. I'm not saying you have to use it. I'm saying it's a good tool depending on the personality of the person that you're working with. Some people like all that presentation and fluff. Some people, even when you go on a listing appointment, they don't want all the presentation and fluff. Just show me the CMA and tell me what the house is worth. Okay, so you have to be that judge. But I wanted to show you some things that I thought were pretty cool. But you will need to literally go in and set this up, which is going to take you a little bit of time, but not terribly a lot of time. So let me go to, I want to share my screen again. I want to do this. Let me get out of here. I got to go back in and open up another. I thought I had it open, but I guess I did not. What I want to do is I want to go into Command. So how you get to this is you're going to go into, oh, this is something really cool that I was playing around with when I was waiting to get on you. This is in the videos. You can make it up. So if, let's say you are farming a particular area, or let's say that you have an area that you want to send a bulk email out about just the area and things what's going on. I did this and it took me literally 5 minutes. They already had all the information. So I wanted to show this to you. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, shoot. Oh,
We just see create the presentation.
what is it?
It's a screen. It says create the presentation.
No, I was going to show you this. Are you looking where it says Plantation Lakes? Is that what you see? What do you see?
Create the presentation slide still.
Okay, hold on a minute. Let me go. All right, so that's not where I want to be. I've got too many things open here that like take up my screen and then you can't get to the other things that you need to get to. So if I go to here and you go, always go to the plus sign. That's the fastest way to get there. Unless it blocks you out. Okay. Are you seeing anything? Does it say buyer presentation booklets?
Unfortunately, no, Carol. It's still stuck on the create the
All right.
presentation, new designs.
All right. What are you seeing now?
I'm seeing my my ugly
Your pic, you,
mugshot.
we got you. Okay. So let me see. Okay, are you seeing now the
There
buyer
you go.
presentation? Okay.
Yep, buy a presentation with the 2 next to it.
Okay, so the way you get there is you go through designs down the side, and then you go to plus, then you go to buyer, and then you go into buyer presentation. So now in here, they created 2 booklets that you can use with templates. Very similar to what you do for CMAs. So if this is something that you would want to use to basically show the buyer the different benefits of working with you. It could be, I don't know, some agents, they make a buyer consult, they make them come into the office, they sit down with them for an hour, talk to them before they go out on their first showing, show them all this stuff. Some people, more agents that I know just typically, send the MLS and then they talk to the buyers and then they have, they meet them at the house. So how you want to implement it, if you want to implement it, is up to you, but I wanted to show you this availability. I think it's pretty cool. It's just how you're going to implement it into what you're using. So this is the actual first presentation. This is just telling you a little bit about it. So this is, I'm trying to just get it bigger so that you can see better. Okay, so this is the first page of it. Very similar, if you look at it, you'll see it's like a listing presentation. And then you have a table of contents based on what you want to add to it. And then you have about buying a home. If you go through this, you will see that this is setting up your buyer to start thinking of you as the go-to person for purchasing homes. So Here's your app. Yes,
You know how it has the black background? Is this
Yes.
for emailing? Because to print would you be able to change the background?
I don't know. I don't know that much about it. There is another one that's not dark. There's a white one background.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So then you build your profile. So here is when you're talking to them about you. All right. Is this, or no, this is the preference. So this is coming from the buyer. What is it? What's the best time to reach them? This is like you're just sitting there going through this stuff. It sort of prompts you to ask the right questions, just like a CMA does. Your listing presentation does. It keeps you on track. This is to basically keep you on track. Here we are talking to them about their wish list. Remember, we talked about metal, establishing their motivation, the essentials they want, the desires they want. This is all about that. And remember, you can pick and choose which one you want to put in here. This is about your neighborhood preferences. This is about your neighborhood snapshots. If you wanted to put a couple of neighborhood snapshots, if they're like specific to an area that they want to be in. Down here, you can insert your website. Here's your insights, your neighborhood insights when you create them. This is a good one about buying a home, sort of the steps. And some of these things may be something. Here's an idea, is if you put them out on Facebook and you put, if you're thinking about buying or selling, let me show you, let's schedule a virtual buyer's presentation. I can go step by step through the process with you before we even meet. And you could even put out there that you have a buyer's presentation manual with checklists and things like that. Call me if you want, text me, email me if you want to see, if you want a copy. So here is the checklist, how to partner with an agent, how they get pre-approved. You may want to, if you have a specific lender that you like to use, even insert their information there. You could add another page with their information, how to write offers, what they should do, shopping around. And some of this has to be, adjusted. Like this says choose a title company. In Delaware, we have closing attorneys. Maryland, they have attorneys, but the title company does it, isn't it, Terry? Yeah. So that's more like New Jersey does. So you got to change it to match that. Here's about financing a little bit. This is telling them what to do, the checklist of the items that they'll need. And then this is more about your own personal experience and how you're going to sell yourself. Now, since many of you are newer to the business and don't really have your stats that are something that you want to put out there, that you sold one home or you haven't sold a home yet, or you've been 6 months in the business, you could rearrange this and word it differently and base it more on the company. Okay, how long we've been around, how long you've been in the area, your area expertise, how long you've been here, things like that. You can change this. These things are all changeable. You have credentials. You may want to put your graduate of the Ignite course. And then when they ask you, you can tell them it's an intense course that I go through. I have 24 classes I have to take before I can graduate, things like that. These are things that you can use to your benefit. Okay. And then here's one here about the numbers. So it's higher on average, and things. These are numbers that you can get and use our Keller Williams numbers specific to the area that you're marketing them. And then this will tell you a little bit more about our technology and discuss industry leader. And like I said, if you go on, there are other filler pages that you can get that are specific to the marketplace and our market center. Okay. This is about Keller Mortgage. Does everybody understand how Keller Mortgage works and what the benefit of it is?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
actually, if you, as I say, if you know, I was curious about it too. So if you knew anything about it, I'd love to
Yes.
hear more about it.
It's
Okay.
awesome. It's awesome.
Keller, what is it?
I said, it's awesome. We use
Terry, you're frozen.
I was like a perfect way to get frozen. It's like an art picture or something.
Sorry.
She's like in the sky. What'd you say, Tara? You say Keller Mortgage was awesome?
I said yeah, we use it to refinance. It's super simple. I'm not sure why every agent isn't promoting it to their buyers, because it saves them anywhere from $6,000 to $9,000.
Yes. And it also saves the seller. Keller Mortgage, I've talked to several of the loan officers there. They have a great system. They work with the people. And here's the stats on how Keller Mortgage works. First of all, it is only specific to Keller Williams agents. Keller Williams agent has to be involved in the transaction, whether it's on the listing side or whether it's on the buyer side. So from a buyer's perspective, if you are showing them homes and they get pre-qualified with a Keller Mortgage lender, then what happens is there are no mortgage fees charged to that buyer. They can also get an additional, it was $1,500, but now I think it's $1,000 towards their closing costs. So in addition to not paying for an appraisal and not paying for, any origination fees or any of that kind of stuff, they get an actual cash advantage. So technically, depending on the price of the house, they could be saving anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. What does that mean from a buyer's perspective? So if they are qualified with Keller Mortgage, when you actually write an offer, most buyers or many buyers, especially first-time home buyers, want help with closing costs, okay? The money that you can save by going with Keller Mortgage would offset a lot of their expenses. Just think about it. In Delaware, the 2% transfer tax is kind of a heavy hit. So if you can save them money from the mortgage perspective, that could offset that number. So instead of them needing $8,000 or $6,000 in closing costs, they may only need $3,000 or $4,000 from the seller. That makes it easier to negotiate and more palatable to the seller to take an offer like that. Now, if you have the seller and you're on a listing presentation, how does that benefit you? Well, here's how. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we also have a mortgage company. Keller Williams owns a mortgage company. And if you list with me, we can provide to the buyers the advantage of using Keller Mortgage. And how will that help you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? That will help you because we may be able to negotiate no closing costs to the buyer from you if the buyer is asking for help. Because with Keller Mortgage, they will offset a lot of that cost because of the programs that we use. Does that sound like something that you'd like to do, is save you some money? If I can save you 2% or 3% from the selling cost, does that show my value for you? How many sellers you think would say no? That's the huge part, okay? So that's another, what I want to do is have someone from Keller Mortgage literally come and talk to you guys on one of those Friday meetings that we do. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. There's also, I am going to send you a link because there are some promotional things in that link that you can print out and understand more about Keller Mortgage. Okay. I don't think it's promoted enough that agents understand it enough. I know a lot of times agents develop a relationship with a lender and it makes them, and it's a local lender, so they feel like they have more control because they're face to face with these people. But let's face it, that's not necessarily the way the world is going. And these people, the one agent the one lender that I talked to at Keller Mortgage, his wife is a Keller Williams agent. So he thoroughly gets what we live with and what we do. So, and I can tell you, they're busy. They are very busy. So if that's what you want to do, I'll send you the link so you can check it out a little bit more. As a matter of fact, I think, let me try another share and see if I can get this one working. Let me stop this one. Let me
The
go.
only thing
Yes?
Keller Mortgage does not cover is your manufactured homes and raw land.
Yeah.
So you can still keep your lender friend, you know, in the loop. I mean, it's not as good as sales, but I mean, it's still something.
Yeah, and you know what? You can always at least utilize it from the standpoint when you give two names, you could give that. Okay? So you could give
Now, can you pick one in particular that works in your area, or is it just so far we've just had them click, they've gone through the app and, you know, done Keller Mortgage, so they get whomever. Can you pick a specific one?
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I interviewed a couple of them because I wanted to know better. All right, so can you see my screen or not? That's good. Let me see. Okay, can you see the screen now with Keller Mortgage stuff?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Okay, so how I got to that is I went to KW Connect, I went to Resources, and I went down to Keller Mortgage. Okay? So now if we look in here, this is the information and the flyers that I was talking about. And everything is online. So when they make an application, you know, when a document comes in, you know, there's status on your deals all the way through. So it will help you. And this is 0+. Okay, that's what their mortgage program is that they talk about. So let's look in here. So this is a whole bunch of things here. Choosing your loan officer. So you can look here at the profiles of the different loan officers. And that's my profile. Never mind. This is the loan officers. Let's see. Do they have anything in here? No, I didn't save any. All right, so let me go back to here. I'm going to go into marketing. So here is a flyer that you can use if you're doing your buyer presentation, okay? So you pick out this flyer, and you can utilize this when you do your open houses. Keller Mortgage can save you thousands buying your dream home. Pre-approval is simple, contact, and your app, if you give them your app, that's a link, there's a link on there to Keller Mortgage. So here's the 0+, you get a credit at closing, you get a discounted rate. Credit applies towards third-party costs, which is appraisal, so they're not going to be paying for an appraisal. It has to be a minimum loan amount of $150. So there's no lender fees, no origination, no commitment fee, no document review fee, none of that kind of junk stuff, no warehousing fee. Plus they get $1,000 credit, which offsets their third-party cost, which is appraisal and anything else we have to apply it to, whether it's the attorney, things like that. And it's exclusive to Keller Williams. So, and what I would do, if this is something that you want to do, if I were you, I would go in and I would look at the lenders and call a couple of them and make sure that they are familiar with the Maryland laws or the Delaware laws. And then you can save them up there where I showed you, where you can save the lenders that you want to use. So here's your affiliated business about Keller Mortgage and how, you know, they save you money. All right. So
Do they service their own loans or they sell them?
very few lenders service their own loans. Who's asking me?
Right.
Who's
Terry.
asking?
Terry.
Okay, I hear somebody else talking. Okay, no, they don't service their own loans.
Yeah. No, this is Terry. I was asking.
Yeah, Terry, they don't. But most lenders don't. Most lenders don't. They originate and they fund
Right.
for closing and then they sell them. Here's just another one. It just depends on which one you like better. And then I wanted to show you the one for the listings. So this could even be something that you may want to put into your listing presentation as another reason why Keller Williams is so good.
We can't see your screen again.
All right, I will get there. Okay. So let's see. I don't know why this is making me share. I don't want to save it. I just want to open it. Okay. I'll save it. That's a PowerPoint. They're all PowerPoints. That's why. I don't know why. It says they're let's see. I'm going to open these and then I'm going to have to save it. This one is for an open house and then I'll see what it is and then we can see where we go with it. I don't want to save it. Let me stop the share. Then I'm going to go to share. I'm getting there, guys. It's just taking a little longer because I had to save it and then share it. I'll do it now. What are we going to do? We can really be in front of each other, huh? Okay. So this is saying, so I downloaded it and it's still doing the same damn thing. Hold on. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint. Can you see it? Is that what you're seeing now? It says Keller Mortgage at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you zoom it in a little? Oh, now we don't see it.
Hold on a minute. Okay. I'm glad we had enough time on this class today because we're going into a lot of different other things. So I wasn't prepared to have all this stuff. Okay, we're back to it now. You can see it. Okay, so let's see. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So this is a PowerPoint presentation. So this is to be added for your open house. I don't know how they want you to do it, or select the image and then choose crop. Sort of like they're giving you a PowerPoint on how to fix this thing. So here is the ad. So if you're going to do an open house, I don't know why they're making us go through PowerPoint. See what I'm saying? It should have just been a PDF. But I think the reason why they did it that way is so that you can put your picture here.
So you
And
can
then-
edit it, I think.
And then, right, they're making you edit it through PowerPoint. And then your open house and the address, and you may want to put the town or whatever it is. So that's why that's like that. So let me go back. Then, so any more questions about, I know you were asking me about Keller Mortgage. We good?
Do they have competitive rates?
Yes.
Carol, I'm assuming the reason why just maybe not as many KW agents either know about or utilize it, I'm assuming it's just like anything. They've gotten used to their lenders that they know about, that they trust, so they kind of just rely on what they know.
I think it's that. And I
Okay.
think it's like anything else with Keller Williams. I think there is so much that it doesn't come up enough and isn't talked enough. And there's not a Keller Mortgage person sitting in our office that is in your face, that you don't realize that that's an option.
Okay. Well, it's good to know for someone who new like me, where you know, because that was one of my questions I have. Is like, okay, what lenders do I offer if I'm asked? So this would be a good starting point.
And what I would do is I would probably, if I were you, Stephen, I would look on the site, Keller Mortgage site, and choose a couple lenders, a couple of loan officers there, and send them an email.
Okay.
And just tell them you know, you're a newer agent, you have some questions, and you want to talk to somebody, because you need to have a loan officer, and especially when you're new, you need to have a loan officer that you feel comfortable with to say, can you explain this program to me? Not that I want to explain it to my clients, but that I understand it. So when they ask me a question, I want to look like I'm knowledgeable. I don't always want to say, talk to the lender.
They're
Not
not
that-
new. They're not
What is
new,
it?
right, Carol?
What is it, Joy?
It's not new. It's been around for a while.
Keller Mortgage's been around for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I choose a lender is, first of all, the company that they work with and how they work. Like Terry asked me if they service their loans. I'm not as concerned about servicing, because that really doesn't affect me, the lend from an agent standpoint. Servicing happens after the closing. So that's between the lender and the buyer. What is important to me is a lender that is not a broker. I know some people feel that brokers are the best thing. Let's talk a little bit about that. There are mortgage bankers, and there are mortgage brokers, and there are correspondents. Mortgage bankers have what is called a warehouse line. So Joe, loan officer, talks to your buyer. They process the loan. They have an underwriter there that approves the loan. And now it's time to go to closing. And their closing department prepares the closing package and sends the wire to the closing attorney or the title company. That's how a mortgage banker works. They work off a warehousing line, which means they can fund the loan at the table. Okay? The benefit of that is you don't have so many hands in the pot. A mortgage broker can't issue a commitment. That has to come from whoever the investor is that they shop the loan about. Now, some people will say, well, I like a mortgage broker because then it creates competition and it does this and it does that. The problem is that mortgage broker really doesn't have a lot of connection and a lot of pull. If you're dealing with a mortgage banker, that mortgage banker has their warehouse line to fund, and they work with, as on a correspondent level, with investors, Wells Fargo, Chase, Citi, Bank of America. And then they know which one of those investors will best fit that buyer for that buyer's circumstances for an approval on that loan. Okay? So that's what a mortgage banker does. A mortgage broker takes it and sends it out to 5 different people and sees what comes back, and then decides, and then tells the buyer, okay, we can get you a loan and these are the terms that we can get it. But that mortgage broker has no control over when the closing package is going to be drawn, has no control whether the funds are going to come. If you've ever gone to a closing and sat there and the funds aren't delivered until the next day because they didn't meet the wiring date or something like that, that's what happens a lot of times with mortgage brokers. I do everything I can not to deal with them. If a buyer is, and that's the buyer's mentality and that's who they want to deal with, I don't recommend mortgage brokers, but if that's their choice, then that's their choice. It makes me cringe. It makes me nervous. So that's the difference. Any questions on that? So what do you guys as newer agents do? I think what you need to do is you need to interview a couple people. I think Keller Mortgage, I would interview a couple of them and pick one that you choose to work with. And one that will, if you have questions, you can call and ask questions to. I think you should have a lender that's local. Okay? One that you have, that you can talk to, you can sit down with, and then they will work with you and explain to you the system. And then I think for certain things, you will have another lender like a bank, like First Shore Savings when it's a manufactured home on leased land or something like that. So you need to know the different parameters of what your buyer needs so that you can give them a preferred lenders. I always say to give them at least 2, maybe 3 preferred. And it doesn't really matter which one they use, but you also need to know that when is your lender available? Does your lender work your time? You need a lender on Saturday because somebody responded to you on Friday night and they want to go see houses on Saturday. You want to be able to, you need to nail that buyer and take them out on Saturday. But you don't want to run them if you don't have a pre-approval. So if you have to call a lender at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night and say, I'm showing houses tomorrow at 11, I need to set up an appointment, I need this buyer pre-approved. You need to at least know that that lender has talked to the buyer and can literally run the credit report and say, okay, they're good to go, they're qualified up to here pending, me seeing their tax returns and stuff like that. But at least you have a comfort zone to know that they talk to a lender. Because if you run out and show that buyer and run because you're so excited to have that buyer and they haven't talked to a lender, or the lender that you work with goes to happy hour on Friday and doesn't work until Monday, that's not beneficial to you as an agent. We work extremely hard as agents to generate leads. We work hard in our phone calls. We work hard in spending money to generate leads. We do a lot of these things. It's important that those that we partner with that are necessary in the transaction work the way we as agents need to work. And if not, you find another one that is.
Hey, Carol.
Yes.
This is Mike. One other thing, I've been dealing with a local lender for a couple of months now. And actually, we've actually teamed up and we've run ads together where I might pay for, 1 week and then the next week they actually pay for it as well. So it's actually become, we're actually working together. I mean, I don't know if that's something that other lenders do, but
you have to be very, very careful. There is a law called RESPA, Real Estate Settlement Procedure Act. And it came about several years ago because when all the things happened, they knew that agents and lenders created an alliance. And they don't want people buying your business. So they don't want a lender buying your business because then are you really working in the best interest of that buyer client? Or are you working in your own best interest because you're going with this, you're recommending this lender because he's paying your marketing? So there are some very distinct requirements on RESPA compliance, and you can lose your license and you can go to jail over it.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was just gonna say what we've done is everything funnels through me, and then if I might, there's actually been times where I haven't even recommended that lender because I knew it wasn't going to work for the lead. Whether it's a manufactured home on leased land. I know this lender does not do that. So, but I still offer at least two options in every.
I strongly suggest that you talk to Walt about the agreement that you have, because there are certain things, like if you see postcards, you'll see a lender and you'll see an agent, and do the mailings and things like that. It's such as the lender can't pay any more than what the agent does, or they can only pay the percentage. Like if you have a lender and all they do is a very small line at the bottom of the postcard, put their name and their company and a phone number, and you have 99% of the card, then you pay 99% and that lender can only pay for the very small percentage that they're using. If you have a lender on one side and the agent on the other side, and then you guys agree to pay 50-50, that's fine, as long as the advertisement is spent 50-50 for recognition. That's a huge RESPA law, and it's a very dangerous thing to go if, as an agent, if you don't know it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. But again, I'm all for it, because like I was saying, is we're out there and we're trying to generate this stuff, or we're generating leads and we're doing this and we're doing that, and then you're giving referrals to a lender, you know, here, call this buyer, and then that lender does it. Well, what is that lender doing to generate that stuff? Because that lender's not, you gave them 3 leads in a week, and that lender hasn't given you 3 leads in a month or 6 months. So it has to be a two-way street working with your lender. You got to make sure that you're RESPA compliant. Okay?
Question, Carol.
Yes.
And that's true. When you work with lenders, they give you referrals and you give them referrals. Does it work that way with Keller Mortgage also?
I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen lenders give a lot of referrals. So I guess it, you know, no, Keller Williams Mortgage, I have not got any referrals from them. I'm not saying that, and again, you got to remember, they are probably, I think they're based out in Texas.
Right.
So how are they going to get to a Keller mortgage lender unless they're dealing with a Keller mortgage agent?
And are they gonna, like you said, are they in the 9th hour on the weekend? Are they going to pick up their phone and get your person pre-qualified? Are they going to do all that like your local lender that you have a relationship with?
That's why you need to specifically talk with that Keller Williams mortgage person that you're talking with, because you can direct your business to that person. That could be your go-to person. And that's what I did. I interviewed like 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
Okay. My other thing is,
One last question. Some people call themselves,
you're breaking up, Sarah.
when they call themselves
Sorry,
a mortgage, sorry. What's a mortgage originator?
Okay. I didn't hear the rest of it. Is your question, what's a mortgage originator?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a loan officer.
Okay.
Okay. Mortgage originator, loan officer, they are the ones that originate the loan. They take the mortgage application. And they, if they're good and they're knowledgeable, they put a tight package together. And then that goes to what they call a processor or an opener. And then that person, that clerk, opens the file, orders the appraisal, orders the verification of employment, orders the verification of assets, runs it through what's called DU or LP to get the automated approval from Fannie or Freddie or FHA or VA. And then they make sure all the documents are in, 3 months of bank statements, 30 days of pay stubs. You know, if there's any large deposits, asking for explanations of the deposits and proof of, you know, paper trail where those large deposits. That's all what the processor does.
Right.
And then typically the loan originator is off doing more loans. Now, that's the thing, is you need to talk to your loan originator and ask him, say, look, do I talk to you once it goes into paper, once it goes into process, or do I talk to your processor? And who is that contact person? Because I can tell you right now, almost 99% of the time, if you have a question on a file and you text the loan originator and you call him, you know where he's got to go? Got to go to the processor. So if you can get a connection with the processor because you have questions, that's the better way to go. And And in years gone by, there was a lot more connection with that. What I see now, because of the internet and all that kind of stuff, these processors are dealing directly with the clients, and they, everything flies back and forth. And technically, as an agent, you're really not entitled to see their bank statements or their tax returns and things like that. So it's good that it's happening. And all I ask is that the processor at least CC me on any requests that they need, so I can follow up and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I see that your pay stubs are still outstanding for the last month. Did you send it over to Terry? And they can say, yeah, we did. And then I can send Terry a text. They told me they sent it to you. Did you receive it?
Gotcha.
So Carol, you mentioned about interviewing a couple of these people. And that's certainly how they conduct their business and the steps of their business. What's some of the other questions that you would recommend?
Basically, how long they've been in the business, what hours do they work, and what hours are they available? Then do they have a one-point contact for processing? It's become very centralized, a lot different than what it used to be. You used to have mortgage companies that were, local, and they actually had all the staff there. Now a lot of them have all their processing and underwriting and all is done out of the area, and they just have like a local branch where the originators are. So you need to find out and ask those kind of questions.
Thank you.
Now, like with direct mortgage that we have, you have we have people sitting in our office. You have Embrace Mortgage. You have, get the other one, Direct Movement Mortgage. Okay. They are all affiliated business partners with us also. And that's when you do your contracts, it says you have an ABA, affiliated business arrangement. That's because they are in our offices and they are paying rent to be in our office and have access to our agents. You have to sign that you have to have your buyers sign that, because if they utilize one of those companies and for some reason they didn't realize that we were all affiliated in some way and had financial benefit from it, as Keller Williams has financial benefit from them being there, then that could be a lawsuit under RESPA. That's why the affiliated business arrangements are always signed. You saw it with Keller Williams. You will see it with anyone that has offices within our Keller Williams offices. This is a lot of information most new agents never even think of. So you guys are pretty smart. You haven't stumped me yet, though. Okay. So your value proposition. Let me see. Where did I go? This all comes down to the things that we talked about in Ignite. Can we all see how things constantly are building on each other? That's why your foundation and your learning foundation is so strong. And that's why I really am hyper sensitive about all that stuff, because there's a reason for it. You may not know why you're learning this or why something's being said and why I say certain things 1,000 times, but you will eventually when you're there. It's like, oh, now I know why she kept beating that into my head. Okay, so your value proposition is huge. If you read this, this is very generic based on Keller Williams. My suggestion to you is make it more personal. And what is the acronym we use to start a conversation? When we're doing lead gen, what do we use? Forward, right. So my suggestion is when you're doing your bio or when you're putting anything out here like this and you want to project, use that as your guideline of what you want to answer. F for family, O for occupation, why you chose being a realtor, why you love being a realtor. R for recreation, what you like to do in your off time so that there can be a connection with somebody, whether it's golf or boating or beaching or an eating out or, you know, hiking, whatever it is. And then your dreams that, you know, you love being part of families and helping them find their dream home and watching them grow and then helping their children actually buy houses as you go through the life stages. So to me, when you do your bio, if you do it with those kind of things in mind, your bio will come across very personal. It should not look like a resume. Graduated high school, graduated this college, have a degree on this, have that. That doesn't make you, in my mind, and again, I could be wrong, that may be something that you really want to put out there, that you have a master's degree in cutting up frogs, okay? That's fine. But in my mind, if what we use to connect with our people is that Ford premise, we should give that to them so they can connect better with us. And it would be a conversation starter. If Joy said she loves she moved down to the beach because she loves all the great places to eat once they open up. And somebody else is a foodie person too, and they say, well, what places do you really like? What do you recommend? If somebody says, I have a Jeep and I love taking my Jeep down the beach, that's why it doesn't matter to me what time of year I live here. I always have something to do. And you have somebody else that connects because they're a Jeeper too. To me, that is what is going to connect those people to you on a personal level. You want to connect on a business level. That's why the other things are there for your stats, but you need to connect on a personal level too. Questions? And if any of you want to send me your bios, feel free to do that. And we can critique them a little bit and fine tune them, or they may be just perfect. John and I worked, here's a great success story that John had. He sent out intro letters to some of his sphere. We worked on his intro letter. It went out really well. And that listing he was talking about is those people were somebody that he knew from before, and they were already listed. A little scary about COVID came out, but now he's got them as a buyer, all because he sent out an intro letter. Buyer, what price range is that going to be, John?
I think they're going to buy in the 3 to 350 range.
Okay. And then the parents are going to buy too, maybe, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. All because of one announcement letter. How many letters did you send out, John?
I think I sent about 40.
That's huge return. A huge return.
John, was your letter physical or was it soft copy, like email?
It was a physical letter, and I put a couple business cards in as well.
Okay. So that's why I'm asking you guys to work on your bios, to work on your intro letters, and get them done. How many other people have sent out intro letters?
On my list,
On your list. You got to get them on your list. Got to get them on your done list.
I sort of did on Facebook one time, but I don't think it wasn't like a mailing to, like the gentleman just did.
Yeah. Here's the problem with Facebook. Facebook is a one and done kind of thing. In your face, if you read it, you remember. If not, if they didn't see your post when it first went on, it became 30 posts down and they probably didn't see it at all. And then if they really wanted to call you and they don't have your phone number, how are they going to connect with you? So it's very, very important that you get something in their hands, whether it's via text that your app is in their hands, or if you send them an intro letter. I strongly suggest to handwrite the envelopes on the intro letters because they'll tend to open them. One of the things that I do is I went and bought these are greeting card envelopes. And what they do is if you fold a letter size envelope, a letter size paper in it, you can put it in. If you send them in the number 10 business envelope, it looks just like a regular solicitation. If you put it in this, they're going to think it's something different and they're chances of opening is better. Okay, just a suggestion. The other thing is, I've had people say that they've sent a letter after they talk to somebody. When you do your lead generation, you call, you send a letter. I suggest that you send note cards. And the reason why I say note cards, and the reason why it says here in your 10-10-4 to send note cards, is because the opening rate is 3 times greater on note cards. And that is because they're not sure if it's a solicitation. It could be an invitation to a party, it could be a birthday event, it could be something else. So they will tend to open a note-sized card mailing sooner than a number 10 envelope. What comes in the mail typically in a number 10 envelope? If it's not a bill, it's what?
Bills.
Okay, so it's a bill
Insurance.
Or junk mail.
or junk. Exactly. You know, you open it up and it's, so that's why we have to do something that can upgrade, can take a better chance of having opening of what we're sending them. Kind of got off this a little bit, but I think it was all stuff that you needed too, because I didn't find this to have a whole lot of stuff in here. Okay, buyer's agency. Anybody have questions about buyer's agency?
The only thing that I just wanted, if you can clarify for me or just confirm, one of the things that from following some of the, everything from the Bold Pivot Facebook page to Lab Code Agents, you name it, one of the things that I'm finding is if you get the buyer's agreement signed, from what I'm understanding is actually in court, it's not even truly a true contract, number one. And then two, if you feel like you've been wronged and you're due the commission, ultimately it's still going to be the broker's decision whether they want to fight for you for your commission. It's not you as an agent privately. Is that true?
Okay. You are an agent representing the broker. Listings belong to the broker, all buyers belong to the broker. So yes, the only one that can sue for a commission, whether it's from a listing perspective or from a buyer perspective, would be your broker. And it would be the decision of the broker. Buyer's representation came out probably around 20 years ago in the mid-Atlantic states. One of the things about it that has always been an issue is the fact of the enforcement of it. Because with a listing, with a property, a physical property, you can actually monitor, because that listing goes into the MLS. They take it off the MLS. They list it with somebody else. Or even they take it off the MLS and you kind of got a feeling, so you watch to see if there was any title change on it in the next 6 months, and you see. That is something that you can prove and document in court that it, you know, they took it off the market and went under contract and it closed within 60 or 90 days. So that you have a better shot of enforcing. With the buyer's representation, you would have to check the courthouse for that buyer's name, Joe Smith, to see any house that a Joe Smith bought. And if you're looking in one county and they bought in another county, you won't find it. To me, that is such time-consuming work in a negative way that you could have found probably 10 other buyers. Not to mention, you know, you do a good job and they tell 10 people and they tell another 10 people. You do a bad job, they tell 100 people and then they each tell 100 people. So if they didn't buy from you, then their version of it is going to be very different than yours. So that's one of the things about the buyer's representation. However, with that being said, what I say is that it's more psychological, that that's a commitment from them to you and vice versa. just like our listing agreements in Delaware, I mean, basically, they can say they want out and you give the listings back. It's the same thing with buyer's agency. So I think it's more a psychological commitment. This is the terms. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And in return, I expect to have this, this, and this from you. It also lays out our responsibilities as agents, and it lays out their responsibilities as the buyer. So the expectations are written. So the question is, do you get them signed or don't you? And when do you get them signed? I see a lot of agents get them signed at the time of when they do a contract. When they do an offer, they get a buyer's agency signed. But it's typically specific to that based on the commission that's due on that property and things like that. I don't know why we can't have a better control of it. My argument has always been, I think buyers should put a retainer up, and when you go to closing, they'll get that retainer money back credited towards their commission. If they don't, then that compensates for the time. But, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Does that answer any of the questions?
Yeah, no, at least it helps. Just because it's funny because when you follow these threads on the Facebook page and you have thousands upon agents, and then hundreds chiming in on the thread. By the time you get to the end, you don't know who to believe or what to believe.
And that's the thing. You have, every agent has a different level of experience. Every agent has not only different years of experience, but they have different levels. An agent that has worked with buyers and sellers, but has never had to deal with the real estate commission and legal laws and E&O insurance and defending things and not defending things and talking people off the ledge. They don't have that knowledge, just like the RESPA laws. They don't, regular agents don't even think about that. They just think, well, say this guy and I work well together and I'm giving him leads and he's giving me leads and we just, we work this out. Not realizing it could be an issue with RESPA compliance. So that's my argument about Facebook, and again, it goes back to real estate. Everybody can have their opinion about it. It's a very broad sector, and you are still staying within the legal parameters. You have to decide how closely you want to do things to the word of the law and how far you want to stretch it. And when in doubt, talk to Walt. Walt's going to give you, he's going to give you a straight answer. Because anything you do is going to fall on his head anyway. He's going to have to defend it. That's who the real estate commission calls him first. There's a complaint that goes in, they call him first. Okay? And that's a hard call for a broker to get, because it just gets frustrating. Because we all know that there's three sides to the story. Their side, your side, and somewhere in the middle is what the reality is that happened, because it's all about perception. Okay? What time is it?
It is 11:25. Oh yeah, 11.
Okay. All right, guys, want to take a break? I'm actually pretty much done. If you want to just, let's see. Buyer's representation, sharing your app, going back to your app. Here you go.
Actually, real quick, I'm just kidding. John, when you sent your letter, intro letter, I'm assuming, did you put the KW app link in there?
No, I haven't set the app up yet, so I didn't put that in.
Okay.
I'm finding sending the app via text gets better instead of sending it in a letter.
Yes, no, definitely. I'm finding that, from testing and stuff with family and friends, definitely it seems sending by text works.
Yeah, that's what I see as working the best. All right, guys.
Are we able to put our actual link into that now? I don't think mine does that.
You're putting
Like, my when I initially set it up, I sent it to my sister and she had to choose me as her agent. So is that still the case?
No, it should automatically go to you. So you have to make sure you have the most recent app setting for yourself.
And then reach out to support if you have to, because I think we talked, Jolie, you brought that up, I think last class or 2 classes ago, and I started doing some testing, and I know that it was, Carol's right, it was showing up that if they jump the link or they follow the link properly and downloaded it, I even had them, it flowed right into command, you know, that they had
Yes.
signed up and it had me as the agent. They didn't have to look for me or anything.
Who do I talk to on that?
Well, the first thing is I would first just make sure it's set up properly, just double checking your command settings.
First thing
Okay.
I would do is take it off your phone now, the one that you have, because that's an
Okay.
old one. Okay.
All right. Yep.
And what I would do is I would go into command and your link is there.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's what I would do.
Thank you.
And everybody should have their app because it's really very beneficial to you, especially when you're going to start sitting your open houses. When you're standing right there with them, you could say to them, look, let me send you my link right now, if you don't mind, while you're signing in, because even if this house isn't it, it'll help you search houses in the area and things like that.
Carol, with my app, I just went on and checked, and it has my profile and everything on there. And so it would show up it shows up my picture and everything, but that's for me. When I send it to someone, it will show my face. Is that correct? And
Well, send it to somebody that you're
Okay.
sitting in the house and send it to them and look at it.
okay.
Yeah, not just your picture. If you worked your
Yeah, it's-
profile there, all that should show
It
up.
should
Yeah,
all
yeah, the
show.
profile is there and everything. Okay.
But remember, you're looking at it as yourself and they're
Right.
looking at it as a client. So it's different views.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
No, you
Anything else?
I think Terry was saying something, but I think she froze again.
Oh. Terry, are you there?
She looks good frozen
still-
there.
I was gonna say she's got.
as
Oh, we gotta get her better.
That's what I say. I have no Terry.
We
If you
got-
can hear us, we have no clue what you just said.
It looks like she's relaxing by the pond.
No, she looks like what is it? The title of the famous statue in Italy, the Thinker or whatever. She's sitting there.
I don't even have a picture of her. That's how bad mine is. Terry, you there?
I think she was just booted.
Yeah, she's off of the list.
Okay. So we can do one of two things, guys. We could come back and do some script playing, or you can get off of here and go work on your buyer's presentation or call Keller Williams and talk to a couple people. Tell me what you want to do.
I'm gonna work my leads.
I like that idea. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the same thing with Lisa because I'm trying to work with getting a mailing out. So I would like to I got to speak with someone.
And that's where I'm at. If anybody needs me, by all means, Stephen, you and I have an appointment.
Yes, we do. 1:30, I believe.
Right. And then, Michael, we have an appointment too, right?
Yes, 2:15.
Yep. All right. I'll talk to you two later. You guys go do what you need to do.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Carol.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Talk
Bye
to
now.
y'all. Bye.
Carol, are you done?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm done, Beck.
Okay. Have a
Thanks,
good
honey.
day, everybody.
Goodbye.